What's good, y'all? It's Chipoverseas, aka the NBA Outsider. We back with another video. I just want to say thank you guys for the support. We're very early stages with the channel. However, we've been growing really well. Let's try to get the page to 1K. I want 1K subs. Let's do that. Without further ado, let's skip the boring stuff. Let's get right into the video because this one is a very important video. Stephen A. Smith pulled up to the Lakers game and he sat courtside. Funny enough, right next to Larry David. I saw a tweet that said it'd be funny if that was an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like, that's a perfect scene for Curb. LeBron James confronted Stephen A. He approaches Stephen A. and the lip readers kind of figured it out that he said to Stephen A. like, yo, keep my son out of this, bro. If you want to come at me, cool. Keep my son out of this. And this caused a whole uproar. Stephen A. used it to clip farm for his first take segments, for his own Stephen A. Smith show. And you know what? It's a sticky one. Where I stand on this situation is I gotta side with Bron, and I'm gonna tell you why. Stephen A., obviously he's been very vocal about LeBron's shortcomings as a player. He recently had a segment on First Take where he said, you had Rich Paul call me and you couldn't call me as a man. The discourse around Bron is getting very weird. The problem with the Bronny criticism that everybody is giving, everybody has their take on Bronny, and most of it is for views anyway. That's what NBA media has turned into these days. But the problem with the Bronny arguments are that it rarely feels like it comes in good faith. Like, these are bad faith arguments. Whenever somebody is super vocal about Bronny's shortcomings and this and that, they tie it into LeBron and they tie in the parenting angle, and it just becomes super distorted. A lot of times, if you go deeper in each person's history, you can see that they had a personal thing against Bron, and they're just using Bronny as a way to get back at Bron because that seems like it's one blemish on Bron's record. So with Stephen A. specifically, I think the comment that Bron seriously had a problem with is when Stephen A. kind of attacked Bron's like parenting skills. That's something that you don't do, especially as a man to man, like somebody that you've been like, your job is to cover this man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not his associate, you're not his friend. And I think that also plays into the psyche of a lot of the media guys because Bron is a billionaire in the sports industry. Right? Like, take titles out of it. Take NBA player, all-star, champion, or take all that stuff out of it. This man is a billionaire. And he also has a media company. So let's call it the sports media landscape. He moves the needle. He's up a B. Like, he's got powerful friends. He's probably close with Stephen A.'s boss. So I think a lot of the media guys, they kind of get that twisted because you're covering a guy as an NBA player, but you know power-wise, he's more than just the NBA player. Like, LeBron is head and shoulders above everybody else in the league. Not just financially, but just kind of like importance. That's what happens when you dominate in an industry for 22 years. When you come at the parenting angle, first off, let me say this. I train kids, right? I have a personal training business where I train young and upcoming stars in basketball. That's one of my things. One of my rules for when I'm training kids is I never teeter that line of how people parent, because how everybody parents is unique. Like, who am I to tell you what to do with your kids? If you want to put your kids in this team and you want to be hard on your kids when when he's playing the game and you're front row yelling at your boy and come on, get the ball, shoot the ball, that's on you, bro. I'm not going to talk about the psyche of a parent and with his child. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole because I know I'm not a parent yet. But when I become a parent, I don't want to hear no comments on how I parent. Even in school, no disrespect, but teachers and all that, I don't want to hear no criticism, no comments about how I parent. You can talk about my child's performance. Yeah, Jimmy, he's getting C's. All right, that's performance. Don't tell me, oh, you need to do this at home. Don't tell me that. So from that angle, I understand Bron's frustration. If you start coming at the parenting angle, it kind of makes it obvious that you're just looking to pin something against my name. You're just looking for something to stick against me. So with Stephen A., he got up on First Take and said, like, yo, as a dad, you can't put your son in this position. What position are we talking about exactly? Oh, Bronny only got that spot because he's your son. But he was drafted 56th. If it was because he was my son, he'd be drafted number 1. If it was just because he's my son, I'm the best player in the world. He's in the G League, just like every other player at the end of the second round. He's averaging 20 in the G League. He comes to the league, he averages, 2 minutes a game? We can't judge homie off of 2 minutes a game. So that's why it comes off as something that's in bad faith, because you didn't even see enough to warrant that big of a criticism against this kid. So what a lot of people are saying is, oh, well, you got to protect the industry. You got to protect the job, right? Because the job is to criticize athletes, and he's a professional athlete. And I understand that because I'm an athlete. But I also understand the other side because I'm a media member now. I do media. This is media, right? And so when I'm doing media, I have to understand the concept, the scope of everything. I can't just jump in and start talking this, talking that, talking this. Like, let's think first. Okay, this is a unique situation. We have never seen this before in the NBA where a man is playing with his child on the same team, let alone. When I'm attacking the child or if I'm criticizing the child, I have to keep it on the child, right? But nobody wants to do that because it doesn't bring ratings. If you just have a segment talking about, oh, Bronny James, let's dissect Bronny James minutes. If you don't bring up LeBron James' name in the video, it's not going to get the clicks. And that's where it seems disingenuous. And that's where I'm saying the landscape of media right now is in a dangerous place. Because, yeah, on one hand, okay, we have to protect the media members and they have to be able to have free speech. But let's do it in good faith. Because when you bring in the dad, or okay, if you want to bring in the dad, fine, let's bring in the dad. You know, LeBron James is averaging this much and the kid is averaging this much. But let's leave the parenting out of it. And people are complaining about the nepotism part of it. Like, oh, yeah, you know, well, he did use his position within the league in order to get his son drafted. Like, have you guys never played like high school ball or AAU or youth travel leagues? Like, the coach's son always is on the court the whole game. You ever play college ball and the coaches has like a nephew or a relative or a friend whose child is on the team? Like, that is the golden child. Like, that's literally at every level of basketball. Forget basketball, at every level of life. You think the Kennedys are just that much more superior and smarter than everybody else to where they can have so many different generations of presidents and high-ranking political members? No, there were other people that were just as qualified. However, you got the right last name. That's life. That's not just basketball. That's life. The only reason that you're mad is because it's Bron. If it wasn't Bron, you wouldn't be mad. If that was Steph Curry and his boy, nobody's mad. If that was, maybe if it was KD, they'd be mad because they kind of got the same they got the same hatred towards KD. Stephen A just got the bag. He just got paid, I believe, like 5 years, $100 million. I think that was the report. And I think that Stephen A is becoming very powerful. He's been powerful in ESPN. Like, that's not a question. Like, he's almost keeping the lights on it at ESPN. But he's starting to feel himself a little bit, to be quite honest. Because even that comment, like, you could kind of see the arrogance coming out of Stephen A little by little with the comment of, yo, Bron, he got my number. He ain't called me. Bro, who are you? If I'm Bron, I'm trying to win the NBA championship, gang. I'm on a quest to become the greatest player who ever lived. I don't have time to be calling Stephen A to clear something up that he said. That, like, no, that's not how it works. Yeah, I'll tell my little man to go talk to you whenever he gets a chance. It's clear. It's one conversation. Yo, talk to Stephen A, bro. Tell him to watch his mouth. That's it. Bron doesn't have to clear anything with you. Stephen A knows that. He knows that because Stephen A is very in tune with the hierarchy of everything in the media landscape. He knows how it works. He knows who he has to talk about. He knows he has a boss. That's why he created his own channel, Stephen A. Smith Show, because I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about. Because when I'm in the ESPN building, hey, you better hit them dockets, bro. You got a boss. You can't just go up there saying whatever you want. You can't. Look at Jamel Hill. You can't just go in there talking with you how you want to talk. So I think when Stephen A is speaking on these things, man, I think the arrogance is coming out, and I see a little frustration as well. And Stephen A, I rock with Stephen A. He's from Queens. I rock with him. I'm not from Queens, but I'm from New York. Grew up in Jersey, and I always was watching Stephen A since I was a young man. However, you can see frustrations is coming in. Everybody's getting power. Look at the scope of media right now. Who's winning in media? The independent guys, right? Bill Simmons leaves ESPN, goes and get a $250 million bag from Spotify. Colin Cowherd leaves ESPN, ends up starting the Volume Network. These are pillars in the sports media space. Look at Stephen A. He was always the company man. And I think he was kind of comfortable being a company man because it came with some power. Like I said, he kept the lights on at ESPN. Yeah, for your ego, it was good. But then you start to look around like, yo, hold on, he got what? Damn, they gave him what? While I'm in contract negotiations, Pat McAfee comes in and gets what? $100 million? I'm here and I can't even get $100 million. So I think a lot of frustration is starting to set in for a guy like Stephen A because he doesn't have his independent brand, right? Stephen A's brand is, like I said in the last video, when you build with a large corporation, your brand is synonymous with that corporation. You don't really have your own 2 feet to stand on. So I see a lot of that in Stephen A when I hear him talk, because I'm like, he always goes at people that are independent. Bron is low-key just as big as the NBA. Bron is his own name. He can start any company he wants and it's going to be huge, you know? And he's got a media company. I think Bron having a media company is rubbing a lot of people the wrong way too. That's something that we'll get into in a later video. When you get so big, right, and you get so rich doing one thing, people celebrate you for that thing if they're not in the same industry. But once you come over with your power, money, and influence into their industry, oh, it's a different ball game now, because now you're a competitor. You can read the writing on the wall. It's clear. At some point, LeBron is going to own a sports media company. At some point, bro, because he's got the Hollywood. He got Spring Hill. He's got the Hollywood company. He produced Hustle, which I was actually in line for. I was auditioning for the role of Bo. I did my auditioning tape in 2020. I still think I would have made a good Bo. But then LeBron came on and they wanted an NBA player in order to fill that Spanish role of Bo Cruz. So he's got that. He just started the podcast with JJ Redick before JJ signed to be a coach. Mind of the Game. You guys remember that podcast? So I think the writing is on the wall. He's very interested in media. And he's got all the power. He's got the powerful friends. Like, these guys are nervous. They position, they solidified, and they didn't look around and they see all the other NBA players starting media companies and podcasts and sports radio. So any chance they get, the way they can break somebody down and discredit them and, crap on their name, I think they're going to take that opportunity. I mean, that's how I see it. You guys let me know what you think. Write it down in the comments. Did LeBron go too far, or was his actions justified? That's the question. That's what I want to know. Let me know in the comments, man. If you like the video, like the video. If you got a comment on the video, comment on the video. And if you subscribe to me, I'll subscribe to you. Peace.